Okay, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are open. You are good to go.
Thank you, Matt, and good evening, everyone. This is the public hearings of the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals for February 15th, 2022. We have 4 public hearings tonight, and we'll get into it. The first public hearing is James Chinook at rehearing at 301 Marine Boulevard, Amagansett, Suffolk, tax map number 300-177-01-42. The applicant is James Chinook. The size and location is 16,000 square feet at 301 Marine Boulevard, contiguous to the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Map of Beach, Hampton, number 1319, block 7, lots 16 through 19 in Amagansett. The description is to construct 769 square foot first and second story addition, 132 square feet of first and second story decking, and an upgraded sanitary system within jurisdiction of setbacks of the dune crest. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-420 of the East Hampton Town Code, and 2 variances are required for this application. Variances of 63.8 feet and 63.9 feet are required from 255-440 of the Town Code in order to construct the additions 36.2 feet and decking 36.1 foot from the dune crest, where 100-foot setbacks are required and any other relief necessary. The zoning district is B residence VE velocity flood zone, secret class type 2. Council, do we have proper affidavits of service and posting?
Yes, this is a second hearing on this application, so another affidavit of service and posting was required. And this affidavit reflects that the mailings and the posting were done on February the 4th, 2022. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. And Rick, is Rick on board, or is we have the applicant here?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, Rick. How you doing? I just have a couple of questions for you before we get into it.
Sure.
Are we considering this is so? We had a discussion earlier about how we're treating this. This is listed as a rehearing, but under the town code, a rehearing is something that's already been a decision. So this is actually almost like a continuation hearing. Is that correct?
That is correct, and we've extended the board's time to act. So we would expect you to act within the time period as though tonight's hearing was your final hearing.
Right, and then the hearing that took place it was December. Is that correct?
No, it was actually.
When was it?
May, I believe.
In May 4th.
Yes, that's correct. So we're gonna consider that hearing as part of this hearing in terms of.
Yes.
Okay. So you'll be addressing new items.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have Tim Brenneman, member Brenneman, as part of the as part of his case. So Tim, you want to take it from here?
Sure. So this is, I'll do my field report. So I visited the property on Saturday, thankfully, before it started to snow. And so the property was properly noticed. Next photo. And so just as a reminder, I'm now looking up the driveway. That's the house in the distance. Next photo. Now I've walked over to the deck platform that leads up to the house. So I took a photo of the front of the home from, really I'm standing right in front of the accessory structure. I think the next photo is the accessory structure. Oh, no. So this is, now I've walked up to the front of the home. I've turned around. I'm looking back down. And this is the area, the wooded area in front of us here is where the proposed IA septic system will be placed. Next photo. And this is the front of the dwelling, and this is really where all the proposed improvements are proposed to occur. Next photo. This is now looking out toward the ocean, so I am in the area of the driveway. I believe this is the area of driveway we'll hear this evening that is to be revegetated. So this is the part of the driveway that is closest to the house. Next photo. Now I'm back behind the home. There's a deck on our surveys and a walkway platform. This is the photo of that going out to the ocean. Next photo. Now I've walked out that platform and turned back. There's a seating area sort of in the dunes. And then this is the back of the home. You start to get some sense for the dune structure here back behind the house. Next photo. Now I've just, from that same position, scanned to the east, and then I believe the next photo I scanned to the west. And that's the house that's closest to us. To the west, the next photo. I think that might be it. Yep, that's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Rick, you want to take it from here?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Richard Whalen, I'm the attorney for the applicant, who's James Shanick. I believe that James will probably be on the phone. And also I expect on the phone are Lori Wiltshire of LPS and the architect, John Edelbaum. So I don't know what they will need to speak, but I'm going to make my presentation brief. I promised I would do that. There is a new member of the board, of course, since last May when this was heard, but I'd like to make a fairly brief presentation, and then, you may have questions for me because there have been some changes since the last time, and it's in some ways a complicated application. This is a relatively small addition. The increase in GFA is 39% over the existing house GFA for one of the smallest houses in this area. And even after the addition, it will still remain one of the smaller houses. There are some aerial photographs that were submitted. If you look at, for example, the letter that Lori Wiltshire recently submitted, there are some aerial photographs there which kind of give you a panoramic view of the area. And again, this is one of the smaller homes, and is more or less in line with the other houses on its section of Marine Boulevard. There we go. But we also submitted some, oblique angle photographs from Google Maps. Apart from the GFA, the other ways you can measure this house, the addition will add 338 square feet of building coverage on a 16,000 square foot lot. We already have 1,497 square feet of building coverage. So I think, you probably could agree that a 338 square foot increase in building coverage is not that dramatic. It's actually about 1/50th. That's 150, about 1/50th of the lot area. So the addition is not occupying a lot of space subjectively or objectively. Even that is being offset. Member Brenneman did show a photograph of the end of the driveway, and he is correct. That is the area of the driveway that would be removed, and even pulling back somewhat, because there's no point in having the driveway go beyond where the addition reaches out to going north. So everything, as you can see there, the grayscale shows the driveway to be removed and revegetated. So that's on or close to the primary dune. We would revegetate with beach grass. The application is noticed for dune setback variance for both the house addition and also for the decking, but I do want to point out that the applicant's actually substantially reducing the amount of decking on the property. We have 234 square feet of exterior decking now, and we are removing 234 square feet of decking, and the new decking totals 168 square feet. So there's a net reduction in decking on the project as a result of the application. The key Part of this, the essence of the application is the applicants need to provide for 2 young children. They are 5 and 7 years old right now. I think they may have been 5 and 7 last May too. I think they were both near birthdays, but James tells me they're still 5 and 7. They are students in the Amagansett school. James lives here year round. These children go to school in Amagansett. They're year-round residents. Right now, there are only 3 bedrooms in the house, a master bedroom and 1 bedroom for each of the children. I should mention one is a boy, the other is a girl. When family members, such as James's mother, come and visit, it creates problems. The existing bedrooms, not only there are only 2 bedrooms, 1 for each child, but they're not well placed within the house. One is near the kitchen, the other is near a living room area. It doesn't give the kids much privacy. It's relatively easy to wake them up. It's all things that we've detailed in our written submissions. So that is the purpose of the applicant. Apart from a very small bump out in the kitchen, the sum and substance of this is about providing separate private bedrooms for the 2 kids. The bedrooms are only 143 square feet each, which John assures me is below what's usually considered to be the accepted standard size of a bedroom, 150 square feet. You can't get too much smaller. Each bedroom does come with a small bathroom, so the children will each have their own bedroom and a small bathroom associated with it. The addition, as you can see, was built to the northern end of the house. It's entirely behind the existing residence as much as possible, with the caveat that we have to connect to the existing, circulation within the existing home. The planning department has pressed for the house basically to be demolished and rebuilt and in a more landward location. I really ask you to reread the memo. I know it's 12 pages long, but only a portion of it deals with this. I wrote a memorandum dated July 2nd, 2021, a legal memo. And it is impossible to build a house of any greater than the existing gross floor area under state DEC regulations elsewhere on the property. The entire lot is C1 of CHA. We do have a state CHA permit, I should note, for this addition. The state DEC has already approved this. But under their regulations, if we were to build a new house even further back on the property, we would not be allowed to have any greater ground floor coverage, essentially building footprint, than we have right now. That wouldn't accomplish our purposes. And in addition, as I detail in my memo, there are a host of other problems that will come with that, such as a very substantial height variance and permit law variance, because the elevation at the northern end of the property is around 9 feet, and we're in a VE, that's velocity flood zone, of 19 feet. So again, please look at that part of the memo. The applicant cannot achieve his objective by building a new house. Can't do it. So it's not an alternative. It is not a viable alternative. The basic overarching standard for your review here for an area variance is whether the benefit for the applicant exceeds the detriment to the town or to the community. I don't think there's any reasonable doubt that this is compatible with the character of the neighborhood. We're still one of the smaller homes in the area. Really, the only neighbor who can actually see us is the neighbor immediately to the west. He wrote a letter to the board in support of our application last spring. Even the neighbor to the east, who largely can't see us and is on the other side of the beach access pathway, also wrote in support of our application. There are no other feasible options. We had an application in 2018. We amended that to try to correspond as much as possible with the things the board wanted us to do. You cannot move the house to a landward location on the lot, build a new house, and be any bigger than the existing house. And that simply will not allow the applicant to get the additional bedrooms that he needs for the children. And in addition to, as I said, there's a whole host of other problems with doing that I detailed in my memo. It's not a substantial variance. There's a negligible environmental impact. We're actually, when you figure it all out with the removal of the driveway, we're adding, in terms of total footprint, the total lot coverage, we're adding 10 square feet total lot coverage. So it's basically a net zero in terms of physical imposition on the land. And we are revegetating an area that's disturbed near the dune. The addition itself, I should point out, is also largely in an area that's been disturbed and is mostly currently a part of the driveway. And finally, it's not a self-imposed hardship. The applicant has lived in this house for 25 years. He lived here for 5 years as a renter before he bought it in 2000. He was not married at that time. He did not have children. So it's a very hard argument to say that the kitchen conditions leading to this need are self-imposed. And finally, I think it's the minimum variance necessary. The house located, the addition, the location of the addition, the size of the addition is dictated by the two children's needs. They're as small as we can make those bedrooms. We can't do anything more than this to accommodate concerns both by the board and those imposed by the code. So, I would just say, I would ask you to have some empathy here for the applicant, for the situation that he finds himself in. He doesn't want to relocate, obviously, and buy a new house. I think, he's been here for 25 years. The kids are growing up here. This is the only way to properly accommodate them and deal with their needs as children. So that's really what I would just, be empathetic when you're considering this. So that's my presentation. If you do have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Rick. I want to point, do have a question. Lori submitted a report late last week, and I'm just going to say that reports like this should not be submitted last minute. There's no way that it can get distributed properly to the board. That it's not fair to Laura. It's not fair to the board to try to. We need to receive these reports a week in advance at least. So in the future, but what is the difference? Because it's a report that's coastal processes an erosion report. There was one also submitted in 4/29/21. What are the differences in those reports?
I believe you're referring to the Robert Grover reports.
Yep.
So there's an earlier one from 2018. I believe the second one was actually submitted. Lori can correct me later on the phone, but I don't believe Mr. Grover did a new report. I think what you were submitted was his original report from 2018, and then he did one in April of last year.
That's correct. So why is it being submitted again?
I probably just so the board was aware that it was still out there and that you would encourage you to look at it. But both reports are in the record. They were in the record before Lori submitted them.
Okay. Board members, any questions? No?
Nope.
Okay, so, Barry?
Thank you.
Yeah, the variances are exactly the same, right? They're still that 30.
Yes, nothing. The house addition is completely unchanged from last May when we had the hearing. We had some problems with the survey, and the survey didn't accurately reflect things.
Right.
But the bottom line is the setbacks are the same. The only real consequential difference between last May's application and what you see now is the removal of the southern part of the driveway and the revegetation of that area.
Okay.
Okay.
If not, we'll go to Tyler.
Evening, board. Tyler Borsak for the planning department.
Oh, Tyler, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So since we're trying to keep this brief, I won't go too in depth into what the planning department's opinion was. You sort of have a good idea based on the discussion that was already had. But ultimately, there was an application on this property back in 2018. Somewhat similar additions on the north side of the residence. There was also some additions on the west side as well, which made it obviously different. And the variance is significantly greater than they are in this application. But ultimately, that was an 808 square foot addition, somewhat similar to the one proposed today. And the board felt that application was a significant expansion of the residence and made the property a better candidate for retreat rather than expanding in the current location. Ultimately, at that time and during this application, they're limited by the 50% expansion cap on this property. I think the architect recently redid the numbers a little bit, and they found that limited to 802 square feet by the 50% cap, and they're proposing 769 square feet. So they're coming right up against their maximum expansion cap, which is a hard limit on the board, not necessarily a right of expansion. This property is obviously in a vulnerable location on the Atlantic Ocean, located very close to the dune crest. And while the current stability of the area I don't think is in question, it does not necessarily guarantee future conditions of stability. The Atlantic coastline is dynamic by its very nature and ever changing, so it certainly could change in the future. And proper coastal planning dictates that we do not continue to expand vulnerable non-conforming structures. Rather, we relocate non-conforming structures in conforming or more conforming locations in order to increase setbacks and both reduce impacts that those structures have, as well as reduce vulnerabilities. So that's the planning department's opinion. Hasn't changed since 2018. We find this application similar, and ultimately our opinion on both is very similar. There's additional information in the assessment, which I had discussed at the previous hearing as well. So I won't go over too much more of that, but I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions for Tyler?
Not for me.
For me either.
Okay, thank you. Matt, Terry, did you?
No, no.
Okay, thank you. Matt, is there anybody in the public?
Yes, the phone lines are lit up, and I would like to unmute last four digits of 7566.
Phone caller, are you here for this hearing? No. Matt, next.
Okay. Let's try last four digits of 2812.
Phone caller, are you part of this hearing?
Good evening, David Moss. I caught only a part of this. I just wanted to confirm the address. This is not Dolphin Drive, is it?
No, it's not. And if you can, perhaps you can hang up because, and then you can watch the hearing and log on when that hearing starts.
Fair enough. That's what I'll do. I'm sorry. How do I log on?
No, caller, this is LTV. Just stay on the line. I'm going to mute your line. Just stay on the line, though.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as long as we understand that for each hearing, we're not opening up all these callers, Matt.
No, I have a notepad with me in which I'm writing down the applications to the numbers. I just don't have, caller ID on these things. I just have phone numbers.
Thank you. Any other callers?
We're gonna unmute one more, and it's going to be last four digits of 3311.
Hello, caller.
Yes, hi there. I'm James Shanick. I'm the owner, and I just wanted to say a few words if I could.
Sure. Are you an attorney?
No.
Excuse me? Okay. Do you affirm or do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for your service on the zoning board. I know it's a thankless job. I presume it's a thankless job, and I just want you to know you have my appreciation as a citizen. I want to highlight what I consider the family need. There are two young children here who, a boy and a girl, they need their own rooms. The rooms that I presently have are not really conducive to their total well-being, and the idea is to add the two rooms, which would be more private and distinct and similar. And also, of course, when I use the two rooms for them, I have no room for guests. Who are the guests? Their mother, their grandmother, their cousins, people who come and visit. And it is quite a hardship not to have an extra a facility for these people. Their close cousins come. There's a mother and father and three children. Where do they stay? How does it work? So I think it's really a a real deal. We're not going anywhere. We've been here for a while. And then I just say, with respect to the planning board, this idea that retreat, is an option. As Rick said, it's a mirage. It can't be done. It can't solve the problem, and it's not realistic. And to my mind, just as a citizen, this kind of application is really what the board is chartered to do, to resolve these challenges. And I think finally I'll say that I think we've been a good citizen here the whole way. We've consulted with the planning board before our 18 presentation. We took the denial, with some dissatisfaction, of course, but we incorporated in that denial every single thing that related to the actual addition. We not only taken off the existing balcony, but we as part of the board's observation, we took away the deck that was on the rooftop of the new structure. We did make it smaller, and as Rick was saying, and John affirmed, it's just these rooms are very, very small. We got it down to, I think, the smallest possible place, and we have added the benefit of revegetating this area. So on a net basis, it's really de minimis. And I just think if you just step back and had sort of a thought experiment about seeing this house, before and after, I just don't think any neighbor really is going to even be able to notice the difference. It's very contextual to what's there. And with that, I'll say thank you again and look forward to your decision.
Thank you, Mr. Chinook. With that, Rick, I think you have any other comments?
Yeah, just one final comment, Mr. Chairman. In regard to Tyler's comment that the planning department doesn't believe that non-conforming structures should be enlarged in an area like this, that's a general principle. And that's a valid principle to follow, but that's why we have the Zoning Board of Appeals, because sometimes you've got fact patterns where you have to depart from the general principle. And there is a particular family need here that leads to an addition, which again, as James just said, I don't think once the addition is built, people are really going to notice it very much. It's got a very light footprint on the land when you take the totality of it. And if you look at at his need, I think this is a case that calls for an exception to that general principle. And that's what we ask you to do. Just for the record, assuming that you proceed to give an approval, I want to note that the survey, your latest survey, is November 30th, 2021 from Secafico. There we go. And it's somewhere over there. It's got the 11/30 date. There we go. And the latest building plans, they go back to 2019, and they are dated January 16th, 2019 by John Edelbaum. And I believe, I think that's it there, I believe. If you find the 19, there's several. Yes, there we go. 2019-01-16. So those are the plans of record, both the survey and the building plans.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Right.
Rick, how many bedrooms are being added?
2, 1 for each child.
You're adding 2?
Yes.
That's
The
right.
addition is 2 bedrooms. Remember, it's a 2-story addition, so 1 bedroom on each floor.
Right. Okay.
Okay, if the board is done, I'll close the
Thank you.
hearing.
Thank you, Tim.
So in the matter of James Shaynock at 301 Marine Boulevard, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-177-1-42, I make a motion to close the public hearing and to hold the written record open for 2 weeks until 2 weeks after the transcript posts to the town website.
I
Do you
will
have a second?
second that.
Thank you.
I'll concur.
I concur.
And I concur as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Our next hearing is Marjorie Goldner at 30 Indian Wells Highway, Amagansett, Suffolk tax map number 300-172-05-13. The applicant is Marjorie Goldner. Size and location is 28,389 square feet at 30 Indian Wells Highway in Amagansett. The description is to construct a new 1,350 square foot first addition within side yard lot line setbacks and a 614 square foot second story addition outside of town's pyramid regulations with new patio, screen porch, relocated pool equipment, relocated shed, removal of non-conforming shed, and an upgraded IA sanitary system. The relief sought is 2 variances are required for this application. One variance of approximately 2,843 square, 2.843 feet is required from 255.11.72D of the town code in order to construct the second story addition approximately 2.843 feet outside of the town's pyramid regulations applicable to the southern side yard lot line. One variance of approximately 0.56 feet is required from 255.11.10 of the town code in order to construct the first story addition 10 foot from the north side yard lot line where a 10.56 foot setback is required. The zoning district is an A resident zone X flood zone, secret class type 2. This is located in Amagansett, and Tim, you have the council. Do we have a proper notice of affidavit and posting?
Thank you, Roy. We have an affidavit of service and posting wherein it's reflecting that February 2nd was the mailing and posting date. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Thank you. Okay, Tim.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did visit the property yesterday and it was properly noticed. We're on Indian Wells, so this is facing, this is facing
South.
South.
north, I believe, yes. Thank you. Next photo. Now I've turned it back around. That was facing south. This one is facing north. Thank you. Next photo. So now we're looking at the, you can see the stone driveway on the survey. Next photo. And now I'm looking down the southern portion of the home. You can tell on the survey that it looks like a very long and narrow lot. I can tell you, having been there, it is in fact a very long and narrow lot. Next photo. Okay, so now I've walked through the gate on the north side. This is a photograph along the north side. You can see the sort of the hedgerow that exists, which separates the property from the neighboring property to the north. I'm looking out the back. You can see the pool cover, the shed that's on our survey, and then in the far distance, you can see the blue shed all the way out in the corner of the back. Next photo. Now I've walked out farther and tried to take this picture. Again, this is along the northern side of the house. This is where there will be a long one-story addition. You can also see barely that the property was flagged. The flags are unfortunately white on snow, so they don't show up perfectly, but you get a sense for the way the addition is going to come back. It's going to come back quite a ways and be right up against that vegetation on the left-hand side of this picture. Next photo. Okay, so now from that same position, I've turned. You can see on the survey the planting beds. So that's that frame structure straight ahead here along the right side. And then the shed that will be relocated as part of this application, the blue shed, is in the back left corner of this photograph. Next photo. Oh, okay. I thought I had one more, but that's it, I guess, for my field report.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have the applicant here?
It's Joel. Can you hear me?
Hi, Joel.
How are you?
Good.
Right
Joel,
hand is raised.
do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed.
I do have a presentation, but I'd like to kind of start my presentation with a little addition to it. That entire one-story addition on the northern side of the property, the long part of the addition, is in 100% conforming location and can be built as of right with a building permit today. And as I'll mention a little bit more in my presentation, the only aspect of the one-story addition on that side that needs the variance is on the other. It's just on the east side of that little courtyard. There's a little small kitchen bump out to kind of keep the wall one line wall with the kitchen. So that's that's like a 6-inch variance required in that area. So now to start my presentation. Good evening, board. Again, I don't want to take up too much of your time. The application before the board tonight, it's relatively simple. The variance requested are modest. Side yard variance, as I just discussed, which is requested, is approximately 6 inches of relief, so for a total square footage of 6.41 square feet altogether. It's a small bump out at the end of the day, and again, it's just to make that kitchen line up. It's the kitchen wall, and it would look a little odd if all of a sudden the kitchen wall was coming down and then bumped in 6 inches, and then that I think it's about 6 feet of wall would have to wouldn't line up with the rest of the kitchen. And the architect, I believe the architect, Randy Goya, is on the line. The property owners, Marjorie and Bruce Goldner, are also on the line too. If they may have some answers for you, or they may want to discuss, their needs for this project. The board can see, the pyramid variance request is also minor. I believe it's just under 3 feet, but this was necessary in order to maintain a consistent roof line on this side of the house. The house, it's an older house, built, prior to the relief required for pyramid in this area. And in order to keep the roof line just one nice flow of line, they would have to extend the roof and require the the just under 3 foot pyramid variance. The only neighbor affected by the pyramid variance submitted an email to the board in support of the request. The board did receive an email objecting to this application, and there were 3 points brought up in this memo. 2 of the 3 points are not correct. This area is not within the Amagansett Historic District, so I don't want any board members thinking that this house has to go in front of the ARB or anything like that. This property is not, nor is the property to the north, the property to the south, property directly across the street. No property within this area is within the Amagansett Historic District. Furthermore, at no time can I ascertain if there were any properties that were grandfathered into this specific lot coverage that was mentioned in that memo. I did speak to that property owner, and she was under the impression that all these lots on the west side of Indian Wells were stuck with the amount of lot coverage that they have, and they weren't allowed to increase it at all. There is no such code section or anything that I could find in the town that was ever mentioning something like that. And in fact, that would be, probably an illegal case of spot zoning if they only said a west side of Indian Wells couldn't expand their footprint at all. But again, these properties are all afforded the same lot coverage as allowed under Section 255-11-10 of the Town Code. And the final point raised stated that the second-story addition will prevent light from reaching their backyard. The pyramid line from the northern property is well above any of the proposed structures, and no pyramid variance was requested from the northern property line. And the neighbor to the south, which is most directly affected by the pyramid variance, again, submitted an email to support to the an email of support to the Zoning Board of Appeals. At this point, that's all I have for my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions. If you'd like to open it to the planning department right now, I'd love to hear what they have to say.
Board members, any questions?
No
Oh,
question.
sorry, I wanted to confirm the date on the latest survey. I was muted. It was October 25th.
The one I have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have one that says October 25th, 2021.
Okay, I may have pulled up the wrong one. I'm sorry.
I do as well.
Yes, October 25th, 2021.
Okay. And the building plans are the ones we received from the architect September 8th, 2021? Last updated August 31st?
Those are the plans I have as well.
Those are the ones you have? Okay.
Okay. Any questions? I have no
I
questions.
just have one question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Since it appears that the number of bedrooms is going to be 7, I wondered, Joel, have you seen the TAM where the board may request a copy of sanitary system plans because of the increase in rooms?
No matter what, we do have to upgrade the sanitary system, and the proposed sanitary upgrade is depicted on the survey, but we would more than willing to. We do have right now we have a valid Suffolk County permit to install a new sanitary system, and we'd be more than willing to submit copies of those red stamp plans to the file.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the planning department now. Tyler?
Tyler Borsak again for the planning department. Joel did a good job of describing the project. I just want to give a few small details here and there. The property, because of its lack of width, is granted relief under the 4/10 rule because it's about 67 feet in width at the building line. Their setback is 10.56 feet, which is why that section, that small area where it's 10-foot setback, they need a 0.56 foot variance. So that's where those sort of strange numbers come from. It's because of the 4/10 relief. The majority of the rear side of that addition does meet at 11 feet, but that small area along the kitchen does require that small variance. Additionally, the variance for the second story addition on the south side is essentially an extension of the existing part of that residence. They're just extending that roof line another 32 feet roughly in order to continue that roof line. That necessitates the 2.843 foot variance. And that's really about it. It's fairly straightforward. I don't think there's much else for me to add to this application.
Thank you.
So Tyler, currently there's a pyramid already, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So this will be lengthening that pyramid? Yeah.
So you can see in the drawing here, if they were to get rid of this addition, it would be the same exact silhouette. They're just taking that roof line and pulling it out, closer to the west.
Closer to the west.
Yeah. So that addition so it's an additional 32 feet in length of that same pyramid variant.
Of that same pyramid. So, and you don't consider that increasing it?
It's increasing the length of it, but not increasing the dimensional, like the number we use to describe it. So it would still be that 2 whatever feet, but there's more of it on the residence, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler, would you consider that increasing a nonconformity then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Joel,
Yes.
you want to address that? I mean, you see what the board is looking at. You're increasing a nonconformity by 32 feet in length. Maybe perhaps you should address that in terms of why you couldn't reach it by another method.
Well, there, you know, and again, I believe the architect is on the line, and there. I mean, we could achieve it by another method, but again, we're going into the realm of aesthetics here, and I know that's not necessarily a variance standard, but again, the house, is right now, it's not a self-created hardship. The house is how the house was built prior to the pyramid pyramid line zoning, and in order to maintain the same roof line. Rather than kind of have a roof line that goes, at this height and then drops down almost 3 feet, then you get a. Sorry, I'm getting a text from the property. Sorry, the architect. Sorry, excuse me. I'm getting text from the architect. Listen. So in order to extend the length of the roof and maintain the same roof line, we would need this 2.86 foot variance. Again, the variance isn't substantial by any means, and that the roof height as it stands now exists at this height. We're just essentially making it longer, and again, directly affecting the neighbor to the north, who has submitted something in writing saying they are fine with this extension as it is, as proposed.
Okay. Just as a correction to your statement, Joel, if there was the neighbor to the south that was
Sorry,
okay.
you're right. Sorry, the neighbor to the south. Thank you very much, because the neighbor to the north did submit a letter of objection.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just be clear. The neighbor to the south, is that the most affected neighbor in this case?
Excuse me, I missed that?
Is that the neighbor? Yeah, that would be.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
most affected neighbor. Okay.
Yep.
Any other question, board members?
Mr. Chair, you said that extension of the nonconformity was 32 feet. I don't think that's right. Could we get a number on just how much we're increasing that roof line? We're going out 32 feet with the.
Well, Tyler said 32 feet. That's what it sounded like.
I thought it was 38, but okay.
No, the original plan called for 38, but that not realized by me or a lot of people until it was finally discovered was the pyramid is also considered part of the 50% expansion. So originally we had exceeded the 50% cap when we designed it at 38 feet. In order to conform to the 50% expansion cap, we had to reduce the length to 32 feet. So the length of the addition is actually, I see it. I think it's 34 feet, or maybe I might be looking at older plans, but
I have 34 feet.
3¼ inches.
3.5.
So again, it's if you look from looking at that visual you see on the screen now, you can see how the aesthetically pleasing for you may not be what is the same as it is for me, or it may not it may be the property owners to the north either. But again, in order to maintain that nice straight smooth ridge line, this is why we require this variance. Otherwise, we would, as of right, you could drop that ridge line by 2 feet, almost 3 by just under 3 feet. But you'd have kind of like a hack-looking ridge line.
So I'm just going to say the entire architectural world is always designed within pyramid and cutback roof lines because of pyramid law. So just because aesthetic, I'm not sure if aesthetic rises to the level of being able to pierce a pyramid law.
Again, I didn't say it was a variance standard, but again, yes, and if this was a new house being designed on the property today, you would design the roof line to come into pyramid to comply with pyramid law. But right now, we're dealing with a house that doesn't comply with pyramid law, and we're just trying to maintain that roof line. If that if that roof line was 2 feet lower or 3 feet lower and it complied with pyramid, we would this would be it would be a non-issue again. But we'd also be able to maintain that kind of seamless line across the ridge. It's not a self-created hardship. This house was built prior to the pyramid law being enacted, so we are we're kind of dealt the hand we're dealt with by the Golders owning this house. So we are just trying to maintain the line as the ridge moves down. It is not a variance standard by any means, but it's the minimum variance necessary for us in order to maintain this roof line.
You just
And the town code, the pyramid law was enacted to prevent light, to allow light and air onto neighboring property. Again, it's a code enacted to protect neighboring property. And the neighbor to the south is not objecting to this. So, I'm not saying they're waiving their rights to the protection of the pyramid variance, but they're saying they're fine with it if you grant this pyramid variance. And again, yes, the pyramid it does run with the property, but if the property owner to the south sells their property and this house is built, the new owner is going to be full aware of what's next door to them, and they're not going into it blindly.
Are all the, for instance, the neighbor to the south, I'm looking at the photos, I think, are they also, do you know if they're also pre-existing pyramid?
I wouldn't know that. Sorry. They could be.
Okay, I can't go on could be.
Well, I mean, I'd have to, in order to get that answer, I'd have to be pulling building plans from all the files in order to, there's no way you can, I could tell it that.
Okay. Remember, Tim?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm looking at some photos that for whatever reason didn't get into my field report. And along that southern border, there are some large evergreens, but then it just kind of goes into a more of a hedgerow. And so the full run of this addition would not be screened by, from the neighbor. And under the heading of protecting the property as much as the neighbor, the current owner, I'm wondering if, Joe, you would be willing to provide additional screening to protect the neighbor to the south there.
I believe the property owner and the neighbor to the south have discussed screening, and the subject property owner, the Golders, are going to be installing screening between the properties.
So you would be acceptable with that as a provision in a decision?
We would be 100% acceptable to that.
You're talking a substantial screening, guys. You're talking a 20-foot high screen. How realistic is that?
Well, I guess that should be more or less for the two property. Again, the property owners to the north and south, the property owners to the south, and the Golders have discussed screening between the properties, and I believe they've come to an agreement as to what they want to do. I believe that would be kind of up to them at the end of the day, to come up with what they want. Again, I think they've come to an agreement with what they want to do.
Okay.
And the Golders are on the phone right now. If you'd like to open the line, and I'm sure that they can discuss that at this point. Yeah, and there's no. Even if this roof line, if you were to design the house to have, to not require a permit and build this addition as of right, you're still looking at, now 18 foot of screening as opposed to 20 foot of screening. Yeah, it's still,
I don't think it's quite
Now-
23. I might have misspoke. I don't think it's quite 20. The ridge is 24 feet. Anyway, I would still think it's a 2-story high screening, which is pretty substantial. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
All right. Then I think we'll go to any public comments.
Okay, yes. Let me start unmuting some numbers. I'm going to start with last 4 digits of 2811.
Hi, I'm the architect. I'm H. Randall Goya. I'm Randall Goya. I go by Randy. Thank you very much for.
Can you state your name? Okay.
Oh,
and
Hiram Randall Goya.
Okay, thank you. And you have to swear you in. You swear and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear, yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Randall.
Okay, thank you, board, for taking the time to review our application. And as I said, I'm the architect of record, and I'm working with a colleague of mine that's also an architect. And we've worked on a number of historical properties on Long Island and in New York City, and we take great respect to working within the context of existing neighborhood and buildings. And so looking at this house, I actually did a small 69 square foot mudroom addition about 5 years ago, and I think from the front you can see how it really integrates well with the existing house. And so in order to keep with the existing, I believe it's from 1860s shingle style, we wanted to continue the roof line and the existing lines of the existing house on the south side. And on the north side, as Joel had mentioned, only for about 6 feet are we extending 6 inches into the setback. And the longer extension on the north side, we've pushed it back so it's totally compliant. So we're trying to work architecturally and be as sensitive as possible within this constrictive site. So our view was that just the historical aspect of the house and the addition would blend better together rather than having some abrupt juncture between the new and the old. And I know the family loves this property very much, and they intend this to be their end and be all home. So the first floor extension is a primary bedroom. So once they get elderly, they would be able to get to their bedroom without having stairs. And then they have 3 children right now, so they're hoping for future grandchildren to have a place to stay. So I hope that helps in the understanding of why we're looking for this variance for the pyramid and setback.
Thank you. Matt, any other callers? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Randall.
Just one other thing. We are the neighbor is the neighbor and the Goldners are going to put a fence down the entire south side of the property to help with the separation. And I think it's not 20 feet, but they're happy with a standard wooden fence along the south side of the property.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get a 20-foot fence anyway. So, yeah, I appreciate that. All right, thank you.
Can't even get a deer fence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make sure you go. All right, thank you. Any other callers, Matt?
Yes. Last 4 digits, 5289.
All right, thank you. Get a deer fence. Yeah.
Stand by, board.
All right, thank you. Any other callers, Matt?
Yes. Last 4 digits, 5289.
Caller? Who's on the line?
Okay, caller, you're going to have to mute your
Hello?
TV. You're going to have to mute your TV, please.
Hello?
Hello, caller?
Hi. Hi, yes, I'm the caller from 5289.
Okay, can you?
This is Bruce Goldner. I'm
hi.
Bruce Goldner, the owner
Yeah.
of the property. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Bruce. Are you
So,
an attorney?
I'll just be very briefly.
Are you an
excuse
attorney?
me?
Are you an attorney?
I am, but I am,
Okay,
but
go ahead.
intellectual property, not real property.
All right, no problem. I would swear you in otherwise. Thank you.
Okay. Just listen. Thank you, very much, everyone, for your time. We have worked diligently with the architect and with Joel to try to keep this extension consistent with the current architectural framework. That's why our neighbor to the south has agreed to it, because it's going to be a continuous line, so it will, look pretty for the area. And it's a historic house, so that it, I think aesthetically it will look nice. And we've also discussed with them, and we've agreed we're just going to share the cost with them on a wooden fence between our house and theirs, an appropriate wooden fence. But again, I just really want to thank everyone for your time. I've never been to these meetings before, and impressed with the diligence and care that you all apply to these.
Thank you. Matt, any other callers?
Yes. Last four digits, 1450.
Caller 1450, are you? Go ahead.
I'm
Who's
calling
this?
about 16 Dolphin in Amagansett.
Matt, any other callers? Please.
Yes. Okay, just caller, just stay on the line, and I'm going to mute you. And Mr. Chairman, one more caller. I just want to give this person another chance. Last four digits, 7566.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, hi, I'm 16 Dolphin as well.
Okay.
Okay, stand by, please.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you're all good for now.
Okay. All right. Joel, any closing argument comments?
No, I think we touched on everything, and I feel good about this application. Thank you, board.
Okay, thank you. Member Tim?
Sure. So in the matter of Marjorie Goldner, 30 Indian Wells Highway, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 172-513, I make a motion to close the public hearing and to hold the written record open until 2 weeks after the transcript posts on the town website.
I'll second that.
I concur. I concur.
I concur as well. Thank you.
Good night, board.
Good night. Thank you, Joel.
Aye.
Our next hearing is David Wesolowski at 38 Harbor View Drive in Springs, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-094-05-06.1. Applicant is David Wesolowski. Size of location is 23,853 square feet. Located at 38 Harbor View Drive, Harbor View map number 121, Springs. Description: to allow an existing 600 square foot garage to remain within the town pyramid setbacks. Relief sought: one variance of 4.8 feet from 255-1172D pyramid regulations from the northwestern property line is required to allow an existing garage to remain. The zoning district is B residence zone, X flood zone, secret class type 2. And Denise, I think this is in your report.
Hold on.
Yes, it is.
Have to do the posting affidavit?
Oh, yes. Thank you, counsel. Do we
No
have
problem.
a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We do, both made on February the 3rd. So the paperwork appears to be in order. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Denise.
Thank you. I visited the site last Friday, I believe. This is the official notice. Next, please. This is Facing northwest, I'm standing on the road in front of the garage. And the photos will indicate, I'm trying to show you the structure from every angle. So the next photo, please. This is the garage facing north. Next to it is a driveway. Next photo, please. Facing east, just giving you an idea of the structure itself since it has already been built. Next, please. This is the rear of the garage. Next, please. This is facing west again, just showing you the roof and the structure as it exists. Next, please. This is the residence right behind this house. Now, it's hard to see in this photo, but the elevation is higher. They're actually looking down at the subject property and it's facing north. Next photo, please. This is the rear of the property, trying to give you a sense of the structure. The garage is on top of the structure almost, but just kind of giving you a sense of that line and how it looks. Next photo, please. This is a shed that exists in the back facing northwest. Next photo. This is the residence facing southwest from the road. I just wanted you to get a sense of how the whole site looks. Next photo, please. Again, this is a view from the road, but it's also indicating there was, more than enough space to locate this garage elsewhere. Next photo, please. This is facing northwest. I just took a picture of the garden on the northwest side of the house. Next photo. This is the neighbor facing north. This is actually at the end of the road. Again, the elevation is higher than the subject property. I believe that is the last photo.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Tyler.
Do we have the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
State your name and address.
My name is David Weslowski, located at 38 Harborview Drive, East Hampton.
Thank you. Are you an attorney?
No, sir, I am not.
All right, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. Just a quick presentation here. So I submitted the building plans and survey with the proposed location of the garage in July of 2020. And that was at a proposed 10.1 foot setback initially. Simple set of plans, but at the same time detailed enough with elevations to the ridge and the eave. The plans were approved. I received my building permit September 11th of 2020. The only thing I did differently in according to the proposed survey at the 10.1 foot setback is I moved the garage off the property line an additional 1.5 feet to be conservative so I wouldn't have any issues. So on the final Saskis survey, you can see it's at 11.6. The footing inspection went well, and then I was not made aware of the pyramid law violation until the strapping inspection, which obviously at that point I had the garage sheathed and the fascia and soffit was already installed. The first photo that Denise showed with the house to the northwest, they love the garage. I submitted a letter that they support it, as well as the other homeowner at the end of the driveway. I'm sorry to be in front of you guys tonight, and I wasn't trying to cheat any laws or be malicious. I just wasn't aware of the pyramid violation. And from the plans that I submitted, the building plans, each side, each face of the garage was directionally marked, southeast face, northwest face, etc. So between the survey and the plans I submitted, the building department should have, you could tell from that which way the roof ridge was going to be run. If I was made aware of the pyramid law at that time, I would have just simply ran the roof ridge of the garage the same way as the house. In my own opinion, I just thought it would look more attractive pulling in the driveway with the garage roof ridge running perpendicular to the house. Denise had mentioned that there's room on the property that it could have been located elsewhere, which is very true. I just, the garage, walk into the house and back, I wanted it closer. And I also set it back a little bit so when you pull in the driveway, you don't see the structure right there. I was just doing what I could do, and cost effectively. At the time that the garage was sheathed and strapped, to alter the structure at that point and, dismantle to do a hip roof, just easier for me to sit in front of you guys. And again, that's the gist of it. And I thank you guys for your time. And I can answer any questions if anybody has.
Just looking at, David, the survey here, the garage is actually askew from the property line. Is that right? So
Yes, sir. If you look to that corner, the property line behind the house, then it comes up to the garage. From that point, it kind of jogs askew all the way up back to the northwest. That's correct.
So what would you say the approximate the distance would be from that corner to the property, from the corner of the garage to the property line there?
To the property line in the back?
Yeah, it's about 14. Okay, so.
It's
Tyler's got it up. He thinks it's about 14 and change. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's about right. And as Denise said too, the property in the back, the Filippa family, they are at quite a high elevation. We're like, our property's in a hole here. Yeah, that's right. 14 and a half feet is about right from the other corner of the garage. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any questions?
Well, I have one, Mr. Chair. David, the TAM indicates that you got the building permit, as you've already stated, and that it wasn't, and nobody at that time had any complaint about it, and you were issued the building permit, and at that point, you had clearly marked and stated what it was to look like on the property?
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's correct. I submitted copies of that to you guys too. I don't know if you could see. Again, they were simple. I doubt you could see this.
We have.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I tried to do my due diligence. Obviously, I didn't hire an architect. Don't really have the means to. So I was trying to accomplish this myself and be thorough. But yeah.
Okay.
It was an overlook, and I understand it. Also, back to Denise's with the location of the garage, down the road in years to come, we would like a pool eventually. It's a thought, or for resale if we ever decide we have to leave. It would be nice for a pool, and we figured the pool. It would just be nice to have the two structures next to each other, then the pool in that open end of the lot. So that's why I also put the garage closer to our home.
Great. Just make sure when you put a pool, that's a double setback. You're required.
Yes, sir. I personally don't want a pool. That's my wife, but yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
So obviously, David, when you received your building permit, you were under the assumption that everything was in order.
Yes, Denise, that's correct. Yeah, they were stamped and it's built to a T, all the elevation to the eave, to the ridge. I mean, I got everything spot on. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, if I was told, I would have simply just ran the ridge the other way in line with the house. It would have been done. But now it's a hardship either way now, but yeah, the last thing I would want to be is malicious, or I'm pretty thorough in all aspects of my life. I try to be, and yeah, but that's correct, Denise. Yes.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. With that, we go to the planning department.
Sure.
Tyler?
Tyler Borsak for the planning department. I'm covering this application for Eleni tonight. But yeah, Mr. Wazlowski did an excellent job of summarizing the application. It does seem like something that was just a legitimate error that was missed along the way. I don't really have much else to add other than be available for questions from the board.
Thank you. Anybody have questions for Tyler? Okay. Matt, do we have anybody in the public that has not identified themselves as the next hearing?
You have 0 callers for this application. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Denise, would you like to close us out on this one?
Yes, I would. In the matter of the application of David Wazlowski, 38 Harborview Drive in Springs, tax map number 394-5-6.1. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing and leave the written record open for 2 weeks after the transcript has been posted to the East Hampton Town website.
I will second that.
I concur.
I concur.
I concur too. David, thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, we're going to go to our last hearing for the evening. The applicant is Capkey Dolphin Partners, LLC at 16 Dolphin Lane in Amagansett. Suffolk tax map number 300-131-05-11. Again, the applicant is Capkey Dolphin Partners, LLC. Size and location is 7,417 square feet at 16 Dolphin Lane, Montauk-on-the-Sea, Section A, Lot 87, map number 2438, Narragansett. The description is to demolish all existing structures and to construct a 2,299 square foot, 2-story residence outside of the town's pyramid regulations with 2nd story and roof decking, walkways, new pervious driveway, AC units and utilities, a new IA sanitary system, and to clear approximately 1,450 square feet of vegetation on a parcel of land containing dune land and beach vegetation. The relief sought is a natural resource special permit pursuant to section 255-420 of the East Hampton Town Code, and 2 variances are required for this application. Variances of approximately 3.5 feet and 2.1 feet are required from 255-1172D of the Town Code to allow the residence to be constructed outside the town's pyramid regulations, approximately 3.5 feet along the western lot line and approximately 2.1 feet along the eastern lot line, and any other relief necessary. The zoning district is a B residence, AE flood zone, elevation 9, secret class type 2. Council, do we have notice of proper notice of service of affidavits and posting?
Yes, we do. We have an affidavit of service demonstrating that the mailings and postings were done on the 3rd day of February 2022. So you may proceed.
Thank you. Member Tim, I think you have a report for us?
I do, and I visited the property yesterday. This notice was on Dolphin Drive, so the property was properly noticed. Next photo. And really from the same vantage point now, just taking a photo of the existing structure, which, as we just heard, will be torn down. Next photo. Now I've walked onto Leeton Road, and as referenced in the TAM, this is a double front yard, so they posted it on both streets. Next photo. Now I went back out onto Dolphin, and I am facing, I'm pretty sure I'm facing west given the orientation of the sun here. But I think it's more south at that point. Next photo. Actually, that was north. This is more to the south. So this was just to give a sense for the neighborhood. And then you can advance to the next photo. The property to the immediate east of this, I mean, there's just no way to capture the grandeur of this. It's a East Hampton Town Preserve with tremendous dunescape, and really represents what this whole area would look like, of course, including our property. Next photo. So now I'm back onto Leeton Road and wanted to capture a photograph looking due south, and that's the home and the orientation to how close that home is to this home from this vantage point. Next photo. Now I've walked to the far south of the property. I tried to capture that the terrain of this. You start to see a dune structure in the back there. And there's an elevation change that we can see on our survey, and I tried to capture that, and that is the home to the south. So that would be, I believe, lot 88 on our survey, and the home back there. Next photo. That's it. Oh, okay. So I'm still basically right along the easternmost side of the structure, and I just snapped a photo just to give a sense for how close we are to the structure to the immediate east. I mean, this is a narrow property, and these homes sit very close to one another. And I think that may be it. Yep, that was it for me.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have the applicant or the applicant's agent with us?
Yes. Good evening, board members. Alice Cooley of Matthews Kirsten Cooley here on behalf of the applicant, Capkey Dolphin Partners LLC.
How are
I'm
you,
also
Alice?
joined.
Go ahead.
Hi, Roy. Nice to see you. I'm joined here tonight by the owner of the premises. He's on the line, Lauren Wimpheimer, along with his architects, Michael Lamont and Bo Durham of Stellamont Rahani Architects. They can answer any questions you have regarding the design. This property is in an AE10 flood zone, and the purpose of this application is to construct a FEMA-compliant house for use by my client's family. He has 3 children. This lot is constrained both physically and environmentally, as it's narrow and encumbered with 2 front yard setbacks. The proposed house is respectful of those constraints, is long and narrow in order to meet those setbacks. The existing house is 13 feet from the property line, which member Brenneman referenced. We're proposing to eliminate that nonconformity and greatly reduce the pyramid nonconformity by more than half, all while becoming FEMA compliant. We are proposing to reduce the pyramid encroachment from 275 cubic feet to 130 cubic feet, which renders the relief requested insubstantial. This dramatic reduction in nonconformity is the minimum variance necessary and will be a big improvement for the affected neighbor at 88 Leeton. That's the yellow house you saw in the photographs, the owner of which submitted a support letter to the board. In addition, the neighbors at 87 Osprey and 48 Leeton also submitted letters to the board in support of this application. We also received a letter in support from the owner of 10 Dolphin, but I did not see that in the file. That's the neighbor across the street to the north. For these reasons, we believe the variance will not cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. And in fact, this project is one that many in the neighborhood support. The proposed ridge height is about the same as if you just raise the existing house in order to achieve FEMA compliance. But if the applicant chose to do that, it would greatly increase the pyramid encroachment and you would keep that non-conforming rear yard setback. The applicant explored this and other options prior to finding that there was no other feasible method to achieve the desired benefit without the requested variance. The project has also been designed to minimize the disturbance of beach vegetation on site while still constructing a functional residence. The building coverage is proposed to nominally increase only 30 square feet from the existing building coverage, with a minor increase in total coverage of 35 square feet. As you can see, the applicant is not seeking to maximize the use of the premises by constructing large patios or a pool. Is simply looking to construct a house that is functional for his family. The applicant is also proposing their parking area on their own property line, which the current property area it straddles the property line. It's actually mostly on the neighbors. It should be noted that in 2006, the board approved the construction of a garage and additions for the premises. If that was constructed, the resulting house would be nearly identical in size to the house that is being proposed now, but there would be substantially more coverage and total coverage, and the disturbance of beach vegetation would be greater than we're proposing here. This project is was designed to be as far from the wetland as possible. It's outside of wetland jurisdiction, and the sanitary system is proposed to be located in the northeastern corner, which is the furthest away from the sanitary system, so we could achieve that 200-foot setback. We also have designed the property to preserve the duneland vegetation in the southwest corner, providing an additional vegetated buffer to that wetland. We did submit an aerial. Tyler, do you think you could share that? Thank you. So importantly, we did explore the possibility of reducing the footprint of the house by 100 square feet as suggested by the planning department in prior communications. We examined the criteria of 255-5-51 of the town code, which requires that an applicant seeking an NRSP explore alternative designs that may be more effective in preventing the loss or potential damage to designated natural features. We did take this criteria very seriously. However, what we discovered is that such a reduction would not reduce the impact on the duneland vegetation on site. Most of the disturbance on the property is guided by the demolition of the existing house. So this, including the space requirements for the nitrogen reducing sanitary system. So any reduction in the square footage of the house would not reduce those disturbances in any measurable way. What you're looking at here is an aerial overlay that the architect prepared. It indicates the areas of proposed disturbance for the current project overlaid with the disturbance that would be required to remove the existing house and rebuild a FEMA compliant house with the same exact footprint, along with an upgraded sanitary system. The net difference in square footage of that disturbance area is only 22 square feet. It would therefore not be possible to construct any new house and sanitary system on site and not disturb what we are currently proposing to disturb. So on balance, with the desire to build a functional family home, we proceeded with the current design. While this disturbance is not preventable in constructing a new FEMA compliant home, our proposed revegetation is substantial at 3,980 square feet. And after the revegetation of the site is complete, there will be 877 square feet more of native vegetation on the property than currently exists. And with regard to the revegetation plan, we're happy to include more woody vegetation such as beach plum, bearberry, and bayberry in the revegetation plan as suggested by the planning department. And we're also happy to incorporate more sustainable plantings over the sanitary system. In conclusion, we think this proposal is a net benefit by eliminating the non-conforming rear yard setback, greatly reducing the pyramid nonconformity, upgrading the sanitary system, revegetating more of the lot with native vegetation, and bringing the house into FEMA compliance. If you have any questions for me or for the architect, I'm happy to answer them or ask the architect to answer them for you.
Board members, do we have any questions?
There's some, I want to confirm the date of this latest survey, the
Sure.
revised site plan, is it July 29th, 2021?
Exactly.
Okay. And you submitted a landscape plan back dated June 28th, received by the board July 2nd?
There was actually an additional landscape plan submitted that showed more plantings. That was the one that I referenced in my presentation, and that was dated August 18th.
August 18th, okay.
And our concern here again is the maintenance of the dunes, especially I know you're going to be replanting. When you go ahead and do the construction, you're going to try to maintain the existing soils on site. I know you have a construction protocol. Did it address that? Are you going to be reusing the soil as the TAM calls out?
We're happy to do that to the extent that we can. We're actually not. It's tight because we're trying to reduce the disturbance. We are actually not excavating that much. I think it's 200 cubic yards. And so if we could stage the construction so that it could be stored in the area that has to be disturbed where the sanitary system is, we'll certainly do that. And we're happy to look into that further if it pleases the board.
Okay. And in a sense, you are reducing the pyramid, the nonconformity, existing nonconformity on the pyramid. Is that correct?
Substantially, yes.
Yeah. Board members, any questions?
I don't have any.
Okay. We'll go to Tyler with the planning department.
Good evening, board. One last time, Tyler Borsak from the planning department. So this parcel is located on the west side of Dolphin Drive in Amagansett. Excuse me. The applicant is currently before the board for approval to demolish the existing structures on the property and construct a new 2,299 square foot residence with decking, new driveway, retaining wall, and a new sanitary system. The project calls for clearing approximately 1,450 square feet of vegetation prior to revegetating approximately 2,327 square feet once construction is complete. The property before the board is located within the Montauk C subdivision in Napeague. This area is comprised of smaller lots which contain duneland habitat and beach vegetation. Of the greatest concern to the board is generally retaining as much of the duneland character on these properties as is possible while allowing for an appropriate level of development. The existing residence on this parcel is non-conforming to both western rear yard lot line setbacks at 13 feet where 15 is required, as well as to pyramid. The pyramid is violation is approximately 8.75 feet at the top of the deck railing and 8.5 feet at the eave on the second floor. The current residence is also non-conforming to FEMA base floor regulations. Being such a non-conforming size property, which is also burdened with 2 front yards and the requirement to meet FEMA base floor elevations, that creates difficulties in designing a 2-story residence that also conforms to town pyramid regulations. The proposed residence includes a full second story, which pierces the town's pyramid line by approximately 2.1 feet along the eastern front yard and 3.5 feet along the western rear yard. The application and building plans note the total amount of non-conforming space outside of the pyramid line is 136 cubic feet, whereas the existing non-conformity is currently 275 cubic feet. Building plans also note that 6 cubic feet of that is the glass handrail, but that wouldn't be counted towards their pyramid nonconformity. So really it would be approximately 130 cubic feet. The residence is proposed to be 2,299 square feet in gross floor area, where the maximum allowable on any size of this property would be 2,341. So it's only 42 square feet shy of the maximum allowable. Similarly, the building coverage or the lot coverage is proposed to be just 1 square foot shy of the 1,484 square foot maximum. This is similar to the Gregory application, which the board recently approved down on, I believe it was Shore, down on the west side of the subdivision. And they were requesting additions which would raise the lot coverage to nearly the maximum allowable. Similar to that application, the board should discuss if this level of development is appropriate, both for this property, but also for the neighborhood in general. This is likely a trend that will continue into the future, especially if applications like this are approved, and the board should be comfortable with that level of development continuing. The revegetation was already discussed. The plan overall was good. There were some issues which can be worked out if approved as part of a condition. I'm not terribly concerned with that, and they were already addressed. Overall, the board should discuss the level of development on the parcel. The building coverage and gross floor area are increasing to nearly the maximum allowable. And this is a level of development that the board should be comfortable with on other similar parcels. The Montauk on the Sea subdivision is comprised of approximately 115 similarly sized parcels with dune land and beach vegetation, each of which could utilize the development on this property to compare to their own. With the construction proposed, a significant portion of the parcel will be disturbed with the revegetation to replace the dune land vegetation after construction. The board should discuss if this level of disturbance and development is appropriate for this parcel and the Montauk on the Sea subdivision in general. Other than that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have questions for Tyler?
Yeah, I have one. Tyler, are you comfortable with the re-veg plan as you've seen it to this point in terms of the type of plants that are suggested and the density?
Yeah, well, yeah, we had suggested that they include a little bit more woody vegetation, and they had some woody vegetation over the sanitary system, and because it's that shallow trench system, they probably shouldn't do that or can't. So even if they took those woody vegetation and spread them throughout the other areas, they'd probably be sufficient. They're almost there. We also suggested including bearberry since there's a lot of bearberry on the property now. And obviously across the street, there's a ton of it in that preserve. So we suggested including some of that as well to sort of kickstart that, because I'm sure it would spread fairly well. But it was minor changes, but overall, it was okay.
And just a note too, I think the sanitary system is not requiring a retaining wall to contain it. That's one of the benefits, I think, of these IA systems now. We're able to eliminate some of these retaining walls.
Yeah, those shallow trench systems are very shallow, so they can make pretty good separation of groundwater fairly easily.
I'm sorry, what is the square footage of this parcel?
7,417.
7,417.
I was trying to look it up. I couldn't find. All right, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Tyler? Matt, do we have anybody in the public?
Oh, yes. Last four digits, 7566.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, hi. This is Jennifer Gimo. I'm the owner of the next door house. I'm represented by counsel who's on the phone. So can you unmute him first and then come back to me later?
Can you give us his phone number? Last four digits. Last four digits.
He was the one you. I don't know his. Hold on.
Stand by, please. I think I know who it is.
Yeah, the one you.
Unmuting last four digits of 2812.
That was the correct number. Thank you, and good evening, David Moss. David Moss, attorney for Jennifer Gimo. I've been listening carefully. I'd like to just say outright that I am not an expert in variances, nor am I an expert in engineering or architecture. But more importantly, my client, Jennifer Jaimo, was just notified of this, and I was notified maybe 4 days ago of everything that we've been listening to tonight. And it's all very interesting, and I certainly don't think my client, Jennifer Jaimo, has any objections to a demolition, but what she may have objections to are the construction. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be construction. Of course there should. And I think the environment is of paramount concern. That being said, the concern that my client has is to her house, to her value of her house, to the beauty of her house, the aesthetics of her house. And I would respectfully ask the board to just give us time to bring in our own experts who can give their assessment and take a look at what we now have, which is all of these plans, and very simply just give our view, our opinion, and then, of course, let the board decide once they've heard. And I'm not even saying that we drastically disagree with anything that's been presented to us, but we would just need some time to assess the situation and, of course, give our own opinion.
So, Council, I would suggest that maybe you do that in writing because the record's going to be open for some time. You have an objection to submitting it in writing?
I have no objection to the writing. I just want to get a sense of how much time, because I've heard with a few of the other matters that were before you this evening. I heard something about 14 days. Maybe that was one of those where you were getting towards a conclusion. In those cases, those have been
the record longer. Will be, due to COVID protocol, the record is to be open 14 days after the transcript gets posted to the town's website. And maybe we'll ask our counsel, Jennifer, do you know approximately how long that is?
The shortest time it's made it to the website has been 2 weeks, so that would give you 30 days. The longest has been around 2 months. So you just have to keep a really close eye on the town's website to see when the transcript posts. I would not anticipate it posting within the next 2 weeks, but again, keep a close eye on it, and that'll tell you where your next 2 weeks come from.
So, counsel,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Respectfully, I would ask for 60 days, considering that this, in our minds, this is 4 days old, and the builders of this and the owners of this property have had the benefit of much time to prepare for this evening, and we've had no time. So the idea of us not having a considerable amount of time where this property has been owned by this family for this many years, in my opinion, would be unfair. So if the board was to say, Council and Jennifer Jaimo, you have 60 days, I think that would be reasonable. But to have to check the website and maybe we have 2 weeks, maybe we have 4 weeks, I think that that's unfair.
We will definitely not have only 2 weeks. The minimum you would have is 30 days, and that's for things posting really quickly. But at this point, it's really the board's discretion. If we were in person, you would have even less time to submit.
But I want a chance for the board to hear my experts speak, as they've had the chance this evening for these experts to speak. And tonight, all you're hearing is a Manhattan attorney who just was notified about this and is simply asking for a reasonable period of time so we can get our ducks in order, so the board can hear experts on both sides. I'm not even saying that I'm objecting to anything in particular. What I am saying is that we need time to get our experts together, look at what you've proposed, and give our opinions. And a reasonable period of time, I would suggest to be 60 days.
Right, but the proper notice protocol is 10 days, right? So whether you got it in 4 days, 10 days would be the reasonable time. So
it's also worth noting, Mr. Chairman, that East Hampton Town triple notifies the community. It appears in the newspaper. It's posted physically on the street. And then there's a requirement to mail via certified mail to all neighboring properties adjacent to the application. So I don't think that we're in any way violation of that responsibility. So respectfully, I think we should follow our normal protocol here, which would basically provide 30 days for a written response.
I agree with Member Brenneman.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a brief comment?
Sure.
And thank you for your comments and keeping with the protocol, which I think is a good one. I just wanted to mention that Ms. Giammo is the neighbor to the south. They are not none of the variances affect the southerly property, and frankly, the view shed is not impeded in any way. The view from her property would be to the east to the preserve or to the south to the ocean. So we don't anticipate that they will find that this construction will have an effect on her property. In fact, the biggest buffer is between where this construction is going on this property and to the south between her property. I would also just, not that it's dispositive, but I would note that my client reached out to all of his neighbors on January 31st, and I've seen that correspondence, including Ms. Giammo. And I know that he had corresponded with her, and that is evidenced in the record by all the support letters that he did receive from his neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
We're not contesting that we received the letter.
Okay, thank you. I think 30 days is reasonable. I think that we're going to keep the record. The record will be open for that as a minimum, and that should be substantial time for a submittal.
And
what is
my
Ms.
last question,
Giammo's?
and sorry to keep you, but after those 30 days, do Ms. Giammo's, Jennifer Giammo's experts have the chance to speak as the experts tonight had the chance, or everything's in writing?
No, the hearing will be closed tonight and the public record will be left open. So you have a chance to submit it in writing.
And if the submission is something that the board wants to hear any testimony on, would they, or there's just never testimony after tonight?
The hearing will be closed tonight.
However, Mr. Chair, I'd say that we're responsible for reading and becoming familiar with any submissions that happen again that are put forth legally. And when we go to a final decision, we very often have a good deal more material than was available on the night of the hearing. So you have an opportunity to present that, and we will have a chance to review it. I would also make the point that there is a fairly substantial construction protocol here that's associated with this project, and that's a spot to start to look for some of possible misgivings that are happening here. So there's a lot of material that's already on the public record. Your material will be additionally on the public record, and when the time comes for us to make a decision, all 5 board members will be familiar with whatever it is that's been posted at that point. I think it's a fair process.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Can I just have Ms. Giammo's address?
22 Dolphin.
I'm sorry, 92?
22.
22. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, council. We're going to give you 30 days.
I appreciate the 30 days. I think Jennifer Giammo is still on the line. I'm not sure if she wanted to say anything, but I certainly will make sure that we have a submission in writing before then.
Thank you. Ms. Giammo, is she, Matt, you want to unmute her, see if she wants to add anything?
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, my family.
Ms. Giammo, excuse me. Before you start, are you an attorney?
Yeah.
You are an attorney?
I am an attorney, but I'm a New York State attorney, but don't practice.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate you giving us this time. My family has owned this house for over 30 years. So, yes, the owner did reach out to me, but, that was only 14 days ago. So, again, we would appreciate the time to, be able to look at it since, my family has been in this development for so many years. And I will continue to own the house probably for the rest of my life.
Thank you. Matt, anybody else on the phone?
Yes. Unmuting last 4 digits of 1450.
Hello,
That's
caller. Yeah,
Hi,
you say your name?
Schmidtall. Susan
Your name
Schmidtall.
again?
Spell that, please.
SCHMIDGALL.
And you're located where?
At 48 Leeton Road.
Okay. Are you an attorney?
No, I am not.
Okay. Do you swear to swear and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Go ahead.
I've been in this community since 1981. I know most of the neighbors, probably all of them. This family going to build this beautiful home is going to be just wonderful for our community. I've seen the plans. I've shared them with other people in the neighborhood. Everybody's excited about it. I'm hoping that everything is good and goes through. It's just a gorgeous location, and everyone around it is happy about it. Obviously, except for maybe one person. But it's going to be an addition to the neighborhood. He has family in the neighborhood, and look forward to a long and happy life with them and their family.
Okay. Thank you, caller. Matt, anybody else?
Yes. Gonna unmute the last 4 digits. 7098.
Hello, caller.
Hi, this is Lauren Wimpheimer. I'm the homeowner, and I wanted to just briefly say thank you for all your time. Thankless job, I'm sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
I can't.
Your name and address, please. Again.
Is Lauren Wimpheimer, and I'm the homeowner.
Thank you.
And can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, and are you an attorney?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We live in Atlanta. We're very familiar with Napeague and the Dune area. My family and I have been coming to Napeague for decades. My parents, who are elderly now and live in New Jersey, were in the Dunes since the 70s. And this is a house where we really just want to, continue to raise our family, kids, grandkids, and the like. We're not renters. This is not a spec builder. When we're not there, we live in Atlanta, but when we're not there, I hope my parents are still healthy enough to come use the house. We've tried to be good neighbors in the one year that we lived there. We became pretty close with the couple in the yellow house next door, where the violation, the existing setback violation exists, and where the pyramid violation exists. And I think you saw their letter. We've worked out some arrangements where we're happy to, not begin any kind of work which would jeopardize their enjoyment of the summer. We worked on some existing and some proposed continued screening of the property between us. You may remember there was some big set of arborvitaes between our property. I've tried to reach out to everyone in the neighborhood who would call me back. Unfortunately, with the one who here is objecting or asking for more time, I've tried very hard, text, email, and phone, but she just wouldn't return calls.
Lauren, that's incorrect. I was represented by an attorney who did call out to your attorney. And
I thought
excuse me, Matt, can you mute that, please? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I did reach out very early. As soon as I knew, I reached out to everyone. But that is what it is. I certainly want everyone to get to understand what we're trying to do, we're trying to be very sensitive to the community, and by staging when we potentially would begin the construction. But we're just looking for a family house that's not going to be a big house like some of the others in the neighborhood. There's certainly smaller ones, there's certainly bigger ones. But we're just looking for something we can continue to enjoy our time in that peak when we get to be up there. And thanks everyone for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else, Matt?
Yes. Unmuting last 4 digits, 2756.
Will caller? Another caller on the line?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, the caller.
Hello?
Yes.
This is Bo Durham. I'm one of the architects. I was just on the call to answer any questions if anything came up.
Okay. Thank you, Bo. Anybody else, Matt?
We do have one more, but I believe it's another architect. Stella Architect.
Okay. I don't think we have any questions on the architecture, do we? No. Okay, thank you. That's it. And do we have any closing comments? Alice?
No, I thank you so much for your time and hearing from us tonight.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Tim, would you like to close us out?
Sure. So in the matter of Cap Key Dolphin Partners LLC, 16 Dolphin Lane, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-131-5-11, I make a motion to close the public hearing and to keep the written record open for 2 weeks after the transcript posts to the town website.
I'll second.
I concur.
Denise, you're muted, maybe?
You're muted, Denise.
Give us a thumbs
You're
up.
on mute. You're on mute.
Denise, are you on mute?
Yeah, she's on.
Now she's good.
Okay.
She still looks muted to me. I don't know.
Give a thumbs up, Denise.
The thumbs up to me. There you go.
All right, I concur too. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have in our work session, we have minutes of approval for February 8th and 2022.
Yeah, I did look at them. They looked okay to me. There were a few things that I wasn't positive I remembered. So, but I will make a motion to approve the minutes for the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals for February 8th.
I will second.
Denise is back now.
I am back. I concur.
And I concur.
I concur as well.
Got a second there, right?
All right, council, we have some
I don't know. Wait, who seconded? Oh,
I did.
Okay, very good.
Council, we have some resolutions tonight. We have Emmanuel Fresco.
We do. We have the Emmanuel Fresco resolution amending determination. This was proposed during our last work session, but we needed some clarification on whether removing all decking meant removing all decking or removing and then reconstruction. After conferring with Roy, you, and conferring with the applicant's agent, Joel, we just put in a slight modification, a slight correction to reconfigure and reconstruct so that it was very clear that decking's going in.
Correct. It was definitely a little confusing there, but thank you for working that out. This was in my area at the time, so I'm going to make a motion, give me a second, to approve the resolution submitting modification of Emmanuel Fresco of 19 Isle of Wight Road, Springs, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-037-02-06, to approve it as written.
I'll second.
I'll concur.
Abstain. I abstain.
Thank you.
Okay. And our second one is actually an amended determination of Nicholas Gregory. This was amended because we had the wrong date on the survey, and it was recommended when we were going through the covenants and restrictions with the applicant's counsel that we also include the date of the sanitary plan that was approved, because that will make a smooth transition to the county in approving that. And so we agreed to amend the determination to reflect those correct dates for both the survey and the sanitary plan, and to include the revegetation plan that was also part of a subsequent submission. So I am asking you to adopt this.
Okay, so, and as a reminder, board members, this was in the same development as this prior hearing. This was a complete redevelopment at 15 Shore Road in Amagansett. Four of us who participated were all in agreement. So in the matter of Nicholas Gregory at 15 Shore Road, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-131-6-16, I make a motion to approve the amended determination as written.
I'll second.
I concur.
Abstain. We're all being polite tonight.
I concur as well. Thank you, board members. We will not be meeting next week. We hope you have a good week off. Do we have a motion to adjourn, Vice Chair?
Yes, you do, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to close the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of February 15th, 2022 at 9:31 p.m.
Thank you.
8:31.
It's 8:31.
It's 8:31, but okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. At 8.
We have to hang around for an hour.
Yeah. You corrected.
It only feels that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Second.
Everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Concur.
Concur.
I concur as well.